Away we go, folks. This is episode 1402. Yeah, that's right, 1402. This is Blind Magic in Alice Springs, and I am your presenter and host, Murray Stewart. Well, there was a major protest in my former city of Sydney. When I say my former city of Sydney, I grew up, and in fact was born in the Hunter Valley, just down the road from Sydney, and spent many a day, therefore, in Sydney, particularly as a teenager and through my 20s. And it was with some dismay that I witnessed Sydney effectively being held to ransom over the weekend, as many protesters marched over the Sydney Harbour Bridge to voice their concern about what's going on in the Middle East, particularly when it comes to the people of Gaza. Yeah, okay, all good, no problem. I totally respect your right to protest, but what about the right to freely move around a big city like Sydney? Yeah, 5 million people effectively paralysed yesterday, and that does concern me. It concerns me greatly. Yeah, once you block off the Sydney Harbour Bridge, you are effectively paralysing Sydney. Doesn't matter where you live, the north, the south, the east, or the west of Sydney, you're effectively cut off. And that cannot be acceptable. And there must be a solution found. I guess it begs the question, doesn't it? What is the greater right? The right of people to freely protest and express their views, or the right to move around a city? Well, I would suggest that this is the watershed movement where we can guarantee both. Yeah, that's right. I think the Harbour Bridge is so important in terms of Sydney that it should be in some way legislated that you cannot just take Sydney by taking the Sydney Harbour Bridge. No, you can't. Or you shouldn't. You shouldn't be able to. So I think it should be declared a zone of public importance. Yeah, a zone of public importance. And therefore, such protests should not be able to be held across the Sydney Harbour Bridge, causing the mayhem that was caused yesterday. Surely, therefore, this is a moment where other alternative routes could be discussed. Yeah, if you want to take over Macquarie Street, go your hardest. Go your hardest. No issue. I guess that means that you won't quite get the publicity that you so sorely want. And that's what this was all about, mate. No bones about it. If you're marching over Sydney Harbour Bridge, and therefore not only do you get vision of the Harbour Bridge, but also the iconic Sydney Opera House in the vision that is sent all around the world about what you are protesting about. Yeah, that's exactly what this was about. Well, I get that. If you march up Macquarie Street, boring old Macquarie Street, you won't get quite that vision. But surely it's about the message ultimately. And it would just as effectively be conveyed by marching down Macquarie Street as it would be marching across the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So get smart, get around the table, and start talking alternatives should you wish to continue this protesting. I am also concerned about some of the messaging around the protest. Death to the IDF? Truly? You're talking about young men and young women who have no choice but to join the Israeli army, and therefore, in a sense, are innocent. And you want them murdered, truly? What, in the same way that Hamas murdered so many people back in 2023 on October 7? Let's never ever forget that date. Is that what you want? Is that what you're calling for? That's not very peaceful. That's not very Australian. In fact, it's not Australian at all. And yeah, I'm not sure whether the Australian flag was burnt at the weekend, but if that nonsense starts again, then as far as I'm concerned, you can get on a plane right out of here, because Australia is the land of plenty. Australia is the land of fairness, and Australia is home to many of the protesters. And if you want to continue making it your home, then you should 100% adopt the Australian flag as the flag of peace, as the flag which you should be so damn proud of. Yeah, I'm not happy at some of the slogans that were being chanted yesterday, and some of the vision that was coming from the protest. But as a general statement, I am 100% behind the right of anyone to protest. That is one of the cornerstones in this country. It's one of the things that the Anzacs can be proud of what they fought for, what so many lost their lives for. Our freedom of expression, our freedom of speech, but surely not the freedom to intrude upon the freedom of movement in our cities. No way. That's not the Australian way. Anyway, I'll be interested to hear what comes out of all of this, but I think we are at a juncture where we can come up with some alternatives that will ensure that Australia becomes even greater when it comes to democracy. Yeah, let's do it, folks. Let's ensure that we maintain the privilege of having the right to protest whilst also maintaining the right of movement. Yeah, well, I think we can do both. I really do. And as I said, we're right at that junction now where from yesterday, something incredible can happen that will guarantee both of those wonderful freedoms that we've always cherished in Australia. Thank you so much to the Anzacs. All right, folks, this has been, and it always will be, episode 1401, a Blind Magic Communications production.